Well, here's another reason to be suspect of Jade Helm. Jade Helm 15, heavily scrutinized military exercise to open without media access. Why? You guys trying to hide something? Jade Helm 15, the controversial special operations exercise that spawned a wave of conspiracy theories about a government takeover, will open next week without any media allowed to observe it, a military spokesman said. Embedded reporters won't be permitted at any point during the exercise, in which military officials say that secretive special operations troops will maneuver through private and publicly owned land in several southern states. Lieutenant Colonel Mark Lastoria, spokesman for Army Special Operations Command, said his organization is considering allowing a small number of journalists to view the selected portions of the exercise later this summer, but nothing is finalized. I'm going to put this below because I'm going to skip around. The exercise is scheduled for July 15th through September 15th and is expected to include more than 1,200 troops. Army Special Operations Command announced the exercise in March, saying its size and scope would set it apart from most training exercises. For months, some protesters have said Jade Helm is setting the stage for future martial law. Those fears have been mocked by comedians such as Jon Stewart and others. Man, they're completely credible sources of information and people you should listen to. This is where it gets interesting. The Washington Post has several times requested access to observe the exercise, making the case to the military that first-hand media coverage would help explain the mission. Lastoria said it's not possible to allow a journalist to travel with special operations forces in the field, citing the isolated nature of the mission and the need to protect the identity of the forces involved. And then you have this here. The military has granted access to the special operations in the past, however. In one recent example, a journalist observed the exercise at Robin Sage in North Carolina, writing a profile for Our State, a magazine. The exercise is considered a final test for Green Beret soldiers in training and calls for them to work through a scenario in which they organize a guerrilla force to overthrow the government of the fictional nation of Pyland. So then why won't they allow it for this one? For Jade Helm. They allow it for that, but not for this. Interesting. And don't forget, remember, whenever this was reported by the mainstream media when it first came out, they said this was an overseas training exercise. And they said mainstream media reported, did a video on it, showed you the proof and all from the reports themselves that they said that Jade Helm was going to be working with the DEA and the FBI. And remember, it was called bullshit, lies, because you wouldn't be working with those two departments because those departments have no jurisdiction overseas. So what are they doing in an overseas exercise? This is not what they're saying it is. I don't know what it is, but I guess we're going to find out real soon enough. Link will be below. Thank you to my subscribers for the support. Had a little bass backwards.